legends are made. This is how legends are made. This is how legends are made. I've got the lightning inside me. Oh, just you watch. This is how legends are made. I'm like a titan that's rising. Oh, just you watch. This is how legends are made.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the WD Broadcasting Network here on True Sim Productions. We are back with the All-Star Racing League here tonight, ready to present race number 5 of our 12-race season. So last week, Brian Voss in the 55 machine picking up the win at South Boston. Look at the left side of your screen. Currently in that second place spot. Look at the times up there. Pretty close throughout the field. We got 18 cars here tonight. And about 20 seconds of practice yet to go. I do apologize, folks. Dealing with a little bit of a stomach bug / cold. So if I'm a little bit soft at some points, or if I have to take a break to cough, I do apologize. But practice coming to a close. Brandon Elvis at the top of the standings. And speaking of standings, coming into tonight, Brian Voss, your points leader, took the lead after his win last week. But Martinsville, obviously, going to be a tight racetrack here tonight. Last season in the All-Star Racing League, Brian Voss was able to pick up the victory, and he did it in pretty dominating fashion. So we'll see what he's able to do here in qualifying. It's going to play a big role in tonight's race, but look for cars on the racetrack, and there is the 55 as he thought better of it there. Might have sped on pit road, but nonetheless, the 54 Brandon Elvis will be one of the first cars to make a lap. Elvis himself picking up a victory so far this season. That victory came back at Slinger in race number 3. Number 1 here for Brandon Elvis in the 54, your champion last season. He's going to come back around. See the white flag of 1940 for his first lap. He's going to be the quickest of your couple competitors that have gone so far. Let's see as he rolls through turns 3 and 4. He's going to get the checkered flag. Final lap here for Elvis. He's going to want to pick it up on lap number 2. Looks like he'll stay the same on the second lap. Brian Voss, though, lap number 1, going to the top spot. So the 55 trying to pick up where he left off last week. A little bit wide on the exit there. Brought it right to the bottom of the racetrack. Second lap, a little bit slower, but 55 machine nonetheless at the top of the board through the first 9 cars. Now getting ready to make his qualifying efforts. Coming into tonight, Justin Elvis just outside the top 10 in the point standing, sitting in the 13th spot. A lot of points battles going on, especially here early in the season. So Elvis making his way through turns 3 and 4. Right here, going to see the white flag. First lap time. Going to put an 11th on the board in 1972. Pretty far off of your front runners. We'll see if he's able to get a better lap this second time around. A little bit wide there on the exit. Might hurt his time a little bit, but the second lap, going to pick it up, but not improve the position at all. So 14th for the 44 machine of Justin Elvis. Chris Smith in the 80 just jumped up to the 3rd spot. Matt Cox in the 51 goes to the 7th spot on his 2nd lap around. Looks like we've got a couple cars yet to take a time. Dalton Creech in the 36 making his way down the back straightaway. The Tiger stripe number 36 with the chrome numbers making his way to the green flag here. Kind of missed the bottom there going into turns 1 and 2. Not quite sure if the line prefers that or if Creech might have just missed his mark there, but white flag. He's got one more lap in qualifying. 2 drivers left to take a time. First lap for Creech, 16th so far, 1989. So he's obviously going to want to pick it up here on that 2nd time around. We'll see what he's got. A little bit up over the curb there on the exit of 4. See where he goes that 2nd lap. He's going to improve 1 spot higher, the 15th spot for Dalton Creech in the 36. It looks like Daniel Sweat also going to make his qualifying run. Coming into tonight, Daniel Sweat in that 11th spot in points. About 48 points behind your race leader, points leader, Brian Voss. So, obviously, 48 points right there. Number's pretty close. And it's really anyone's game in that top 5 for the points lead after tonight's race. So, exit of turn number 4, Daniel Sweat, 2nd lap time. Going to be slower than his 1st lap time, but he is inside the top 10 in the 9th place spot. So still yet to take a time. Fellow broadcaster Tanner Marr, the number 4 machine, not taking a time yet in qualifying. And right there you see the conclusion of qualifying. So we're going to go ahead. We are going to go ahead and bring in our fast qualifier. There we go. I had to get in the right channel, but we're going to bring in our fast qualifier, Brian Voss, if we can find him. I don't know if he's in Discord yet, but in the meantime, we will go through our starting grid, starting with the number 55 machine, your pole sitter, Brian Voss, and then to his outside, Brandon Elvis. 3rd spot belongs to Chris Smith in the 80 machine with Kyle Wellman and the 42 to his outside. Then the 5th spot will be the 17 of Jonathan Adkins with Chris Carroll and the 99 rolling off next to him. Matt Cox in the 51 machine going to be rolling off 7th with Zach Murphy in the 29 to his outside. And back behind them it'll be Daniel Sweat, Anthony Rennick in the 23. And row number 6 will be Brian Zimmerman, Alex Harris in the 14. The 13. Justin Coleman in the 14, starting in the 13th spot. See, that was just a really weird way for that to go down, messed up the way I said it, but Larry Bell in the 14th spot. Caleb Thompson, Dalton Creech, Justin Elvis, and Donnie Batiste going to be rounding out our field. Not seeing Tanner Marr on track yet, and Brian Voss is in the chat, so we'll grab him up here and see if we can get a word from him. Brian Voss up in the booth, you got a copy?
Yes, sir. Got you guys.
Alrighty, well, last week picked up the victory at South Boston. This track last season, you got the pole, you dominated. Things are looking good for you here tonight. How can you continue that throughout the race?
Man, I think just stay out of trouble, but like every week, just maintain track position, not burn the right front off, and about the same old song and dance every week, it seems like, with these late models.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting one for sure. Rolling off from the 1st spot here tonight. Hopefully we can talk to you sometime later on. Good luck, Brian.
Sure, thank you guys.
Alrighty, folks. That was Brian Voss, driver of the number 55 machine. Last week he picked up the win at South Boston. Yeah, picking up the win last week at South Boston from the pole, leading all 100 laps there. 100-lap race here tonight. Martinsville is definitely a track that Voss is good at. and he dominated here last season, so it's definitely going to be an exciting one. We've got some other pretty good competitors up in the top 5 as well. Brandon Elvis, champion last season in the 54 machine. Chris Smith in the 80, starting in that 3rd spot as well. Your 2nd place driver in points, number 28, Brian Zimmerman, going to be rolling off in the 11th spot as the field makes their way down into turns 3 and 4. It's in the hands of the flagman through the iRacing start zone. Mr. All-Time Gaming start zone. We are racing at Martinsville down into turns 1 and 2. Brian Voss, Brandon Elvis lead the way. Only 2 by 2 through the first corner right there. Looks like Elvis got a little bit high off the corner, got up into the outside wall. That's going to allow Voss to slip away. Smith is in the 3rd spot, battling with Wellman to his outside. Here comes Jonathan Adkins in the 17, back behind. So give lap number 1 to Brian Voss down into the first corner. Field starting to spread out a little bit as they make their way down the back straightaway. You see Adkins in the 17 trying to get underneath Kyle Wellman here early on. This is going to show us how difficult passing might be throughout the race. You see the 17 on that bottom preferred line just having a hard time getting the momentum wound up underneath that 43 machine. So we're racing up front here so far. Here comes Matt Cox to go to the inside of the 17. The 42, Wellman takes a peek underneath the 80 with that big run that he got on that top side. So top 5 all under a blanket right here battling. Looks like Chris Smith going to give up the position to Kyle Wellman in the 42 for now. Move Matt Cox into the top 5 in the 51 as well. So far, though, clean and green as you see him go down the front straightaway and into turns 1 and 2. Chris Carroll in the 99. Oh, contact. Looks like Matt Cox might have gotten into Kyle Wellman. And they are around, and there is a parking lot on the exit of turns 1 and 2. Matt Cox is going to go up and over. Unfortunately, I think he's going to be forced to tow. Not quite sure what happened. Try and get a better look here. Let's see if we can't. Oh, it looks like there might have been a checkup right there. I think the 42 kind of might have gotten on the brakes right there, trying to get. Yeah, you see, kind of checks up right there, trying to not get into the 54 machine, and right there was Matt Cox, and just nowhere to go. And that just caused a huge chain reaction, blocked the track, and you see right there a couple cars turned around. Alex Harris in the 13 rolling away. Kyle Wellman, obviously, in the 42, the 28 of Brian Zimmerman as well. So under yellow here, after a pretty intense first couple laps, Brian Voss going to be your race leader here on lap 7 out of 100. And unlike South Boston, these laps are a little bit longer here at the Martinsville Speedway, obviously. So not going to be going by as quick as it did last week. It was a very fast race last week. We got done in like 30 or 40 minutes. Not the same thing probably going to be said here tonight. But Voss, your race leader. Let's look at some big movers so far. Justin Coleman in the 14 machine. He started back in the 13th spot right now, sitting in the 8th position. And that red and white Chestnut Hill, number 14. And hopefully I can remember to call out the Coleman Designs halfway leader at lap 50 out of this 100-lapper. So it looks like Justin Elvis in the 44 machine. He's going to get the wave around here once the field sees the one to go signal and the lights go off on the Bad Company Racing pace car, but going to be at a disadvantage here, putting some extra heat in the tires before that restart, and it's going to be an effort to try and get around to the back of the field before they take the green as well. So Justin Elvis in the 44, I think, involved in that melee on the exit of turns 1 and 2. But just a result of close, tight racing there at the beginning of the race. Not everybody's really in their rhythm yet, and they were racing really hard right there, and I think it was just a chain reaction of a slight little checkup, and that's just how quickly it can happen here. These late model stocks all so close on time, and such a competitive class that stuff like that happens, and it's exciting. But these guys are doing a great job putting on a show racing as well. So the lights do go off for Bad Company Racing pace car. The field's going to make their way through turns 1 and 2. See Justin Elvis in the 44 catching up, taking the wave around, so he's not going to go a lap down here. So we do have one car, a couple laps down, Mac Cox in the 51 machine. Although he is back out, you see him right there. So the pace car is off. The field going to make their way to the Mr. All-Time Gaming restart zone. Boss, Elvis, we are back racing down into turns 1 and 2. Good run that time by Elvis in the 54. We'll see if he can do anything with the top side open right there. Looks like Voss going to have to give him room entering turns 3 and 4. 4 cars, 2 by 2 right there. Voss has the advantage at the line, but very close between the two. Chris Smith in the 80 machine trying to make something happen in that third spot. Looks like Elvis is able to get back down, so everybody back to where they were, but very good effort there by the 54 machine to try and get around Voss here early in the going. Justin Coleman battling for the 8th spot. So the 15 machine down low, Coleman up top. Larry Bell in the 43 also trying to throw his name into the mix as 13 gets an advantage. 43 trying to sneak by as well. A little bit of contact there. I think the 14 might have gotten up into the wall. In front of them, Jonathan Adkins up the racetrack, opening up the door for 07 Daniel Sweat. Good racing going on all over the racetrack. Coleman into the wall again, out back in 14. You can get away with that a little bit in these cars. Definitely have to watch how many times you get into that outside wall. Sweat just about able to clear Adkins off the corner. Zach Murphy in the 29 trying to follow suit down low. Looks like he's going to have an opening. Murphy and Adkins still battling side by side for the 6th spot. To Murphy for now off the corner, but so close these guys are able to run side by side. And especially if the outside car gives room, these guys can just run side by side just like that, and that outside car just gets the momentum and run off the corner. And just like that, Murphy's going to have a little bit less of an advantage. Spot. Oh, we have a yellow out back. Dalton Creech in the 36. Is up and over, not good right there. Take a look at what happened. I'm not quite sure. It was on the exit of turns 3 and 4, so here's the corner leading up to it. We'll try and see if we can get a view of what happened in front. Oh, it looks like another just checkup right there. Zimmerman in the 28 got tagged on the 23, came in a little bit late right there. Just rolling through the incident. And, upside down went Dalton Creech. He's going to have to tow back to the pits. See him right there on your screen. Not good for the 36 machine. He's back up front. Brian Voss, still your race leader. 23 laps in. A couple cars coming down pit road. Caleb Thompson, Dalton Creech, obviously down as well. I believe 04 probably coming down to get some damage fixed from that first incident. Going to complete lap number 23. Your top 5 is Brian Voss, Brandon Elvis, Chris Smith, Chris Carroll, and Daniel Sweat, the 07 machine. Going to take a quick step away while I go grab a drink of water, but you guys will not miss a thing as we're going to be non-stop. So the lights are off in the Bad Company Racing pace car. We are getting ready to go back green flag racing. It'll be once again Brian Voss, Brandon Elvis. What can the 54 machine do? We saw him put up a pretty good fight there that last time on the outside. We'll see what he's got on the exit of turns 3 and 4. Is through the restart zone. We're back racing. Down into turns 1 and 2 once again. Voss going to come away with the advantage. There's a couple cars going wide on the exit. I think I saw Justin Elvis in the 44 a little bit wide there through the corner. Is up in front of them. Jonathan Adkins, Daniel Sweat battle once again, along with Justin Coleman and Alex Harris in the 13. Battles on these restarts getting very, very interesting as the race goes on. Is up front. Oh, crash in the back, I do believe. Still green so far somehow. Not quite sure, but I think Donnie Batiste, Dalton Creech involved. Brian Zimmerman has damage on his left front. Somehow still green flag. Not quite sure what happened. When we get a chance, we'll go back and look. But Brian Voss, still your race leader, 30 laps in now. But you see back behind Anthony Rennick, your 10th place car. There is nobody back behind him. A big gap of time back to Justin Elvis in the 44, so some trouble out back on the restart. Not what Brian Zimmerman in the 28 wanted to see, coming into tonight's second in the points. But Brian Voss doing a good job keeping that lead. He's got about half a second between him and the 54, Brandon Elvis. As I'm looking at the lap times, Chris Smith a little bit quicker than the 54 that last time around. He's closing that gap a little bit. And looks like he's starting to apply pressure for that second spot. But the battle's starting to become a little bit more tame here in the top 5. As we get further into this green flag run. Next week, folks, we will be going to the Myrtle Beach Speedway for a 200 lap race there. That's going to be a pretty exciting one, and then we take our all-star break at the bull ring, which has a knockout style format, so it's going to be pretty exciting. And can't wait for the guys to finalize that format and release that so we can start to anticipate what that race is going to be like. An exciting couple of weeks, and then after that we go to Southern National and Hickory, 2 of my personal favorite tracks on iRacing. So a pretty exciting couple of weeks for the All-Star Racing League coming up. And the points battle too is very, very good. Brian Voss doing a good job, looking to extend it coming into tonight. He's got a 5-point lead over Brian Zimmerman. But right now, everybody doing a good job keeping their noses clean. Brian Zimmerman out back making the pass for P13. Just as I said, keeping their noses clean. Cut to a couple cars that had some nose damage. That's the difference right there. You see Voss starting to close in on a couple lap cars. So as we're 40 laps in, we're going to go to a WD Broadcasting, crank it up here. So we'll be back in just a moment. So that was our little crank it up segment. Back a couple laps later, Brian Voss still your race leader. Chris Smith starting to apply some pressure like we saw there to the back bumper of the 54. They've got a couple cars in that line right there. The lap times, as we look at our left side, the last time around, everybody kind of pretty close, and actually the lap times get quicker as you look further down the top 10, so might be seeing a little bit of saving going on from the guys in our top 5. As we are approaching the halfway. Oh, contact in the center of the corner right there. Chris Smith into the back end of the 54. Elvis not happy about it. Down the front straightaway, they make a little bit more contact. As the 54 is going to try to get back down behind the 80 machine, but you saw contact there, and I don't really know if that was necessarily the 80's fault. He might have gotten shoved in to the 54. I saw a little bit of contact to the back bumper of the 80 prior to that as well, so could have just been a big stack up like we've been seeing so far. But that allowed Brian Voss in the 55 to get a big gap built up, as he's going to come to the cross flags, and he is your Coleman Designs halfway leader. So the 55 doing his thing is back behind him. Chris Carroll now underneath Chris Smith. That's the battle for the 3rd position, as Elvis tries to get away for now. Elvis obviously not happy about the contact that was made there. Shot him up the racetrack, and he was luckily able to hold off the position, use that top line to his advantage. Right now, 52 laps in at the line. Brian Voss starting to close in on some lap traffic here on the latter half of this green flag run. But there is a line of cars starting to build up behind that 54 machine. You see the 80 of Chris Smith right there, but everybody back behind him starting to kind of close in, as the lap times between, it's about a tenth difference between the 55 and the 54, and then back behind him everybody's kind of run that same time that Brandon Elvis is running. So this field definitely running out of time here as we wind the laps down. I'm sure we'll get some late race restarts mixed in there as well, but Brian Voss is going to be tough to beat in the restarts, and everybody can't use up their tires trying to get around this 54 machine. We see how spread out the field's getting. Anthony Reddick in the 10th spot. He's got a 10-second gap back to Larry Bell in the 43 machine, who currently sits in that 11th position. And then right there on the left side of your screen coming in is your race leader, Brian Voss, who is starting to close in on lap traffic, starting with the 67 machine of Donnie Batiste. We saw him involved in an accident earlier on, but no yellow flag was thrown for that. See, he's got some left side damage there on the 67. Currently on the lead lap, but he's going to let the leader go by on the inside. So currently in the lucky dog spot is the 67, but Kyle Wellman also right there in front of your race leader. So we've hit the lap 60 mark. Elvis currently in that 2nd spot still, with just a big row of cars behind him, and Voss is just continuing to grow this lead even as he goes through the traffic right there. The 55 just continuously putting in lap times quicker than everybody behind him, but the 54 is starting to open up a little bit of a gap to the 80 machine. He's got a little bit more breathing room on that back bumper. The battle's still going around in the top 5. Everybody trying to find somewhere to get in front of the guy in front of them. They're just looking for openings left and right, and people keep peeking their noses. And as we get later through this race, it's going to get more aggressive, and people are going to start being a little bit more aggressive on where they're putting their nose. And I'm sure it might draw a caution. We could see a late race restart as Jonathan Adkins starting to look for a way around the 99 of Chris Carroll. A little bit of contact maybe with the wall. Entering one that time. Looked like he tried to fake low, go high, but the 99 doing a good job keeping the 17 at bay right here. But up front, the lead almost 2.5 seconds for Brian Voss. Last season at Martinsville doing a very similar thing to this right here, just out in front, the class of the field. He ran a good race at South Boston last week. Looks to be a repeat of that here tonight. Is back behind. Jonathan Adkins does get an opening here on the inside underneath Chris Carroll. They're going to be 3 wide with the lap car down the front straightaway. And into turns 1 and 2. Not a lot of room given right there. Some contact made. Adkins up the racetrack. Carroll up the racetrack. Here comes Daniel Sweat in the 07 trying to take advantage as well. Like I said, it's going to start heating up. Everybody going to get a little bit less patient here as the race winds down, as Daniel Sweat peeks to the inside of Chris Carroll. Here comes Zach Murphy as well. So Carroll definitely a little bit slower in the 99. He lost that momentum and looks like he's recovering here. He's back in the 7th spot though, compared to where he was running in that 4th position. So not going to be too thrilled about the contact with the 17, I'm sure, but he's lucky he's back behind Zach Murphy and in that bottom line, not getting freight trained anymore. As we look back up front, the lap times kind of swinging towards Brandon Elvis here in the 54 a little bit. He's been able to close that gap a couple tenths of a second compared to the last time that I looked. So maybe a little bit more speed here towards the end of this race for the 54. But obviously 2 seconds, it's going to be a lot of time to make up with only 29 laps to go. But at this point, a caution will change everything as we look back behind. Alex Harris underneath Justin Coleman. Some contact made there. I think the 13 tried to send it going into the corner, and Coleman held his ground. Luckily, the 13 of Alex Harris able to hang on to it and keep it pointed in the right direction. But a scary moment there for the 13. He's currently in the 9th spot. But if we look at the 17, Jonathan Adkins, he put the pressure on the 99 of Chris Carroll. He's starting to close his way in on the back bumper, the 80 of Chris Smith. We'll see what he's able to do. He's kind of looking high, opening up that corner entry a little bit. I think this is forcing the 80 to get a little bit more aggressive on the throttle and on the tires, because he's starting to close the gap to Brandon Elvis in the 54 as well. So these guys realizing 25 laps to go next time. They're going to run out of time. But I think everybody just really hoping for a caution at this point. If anybody wants a chance to track down that 55 of Brian Voss. Ooh, Brandon Elvis had to swerve out of the way. A younger brother, Justin Elvis, there off the corner. I think Elvis, sorry, I think the 44 might have gotten into the wall. And Brandon Elvis had to take evasive action, swerving down to the bottom. That's going to be a little bit more time lost. Now 2.6 the gap as they go into turns 1 and 2. But it's definitely starting to heat up for that 3rd spot. Chris Smith has got Jonathan Adkins breathing down his neck going into turns 3 and 4. He's tried to look for a couple openings. He's just not been able to seal the deal just yet. So we've now got 23 to go at the line. 22 this time around. The laps are winding down here, and without a caution, we've only seen 3 cautions so far this race. Looks to be Brian Voss's race to lose at this point, even with 20 laps to go. It's definitely going to take a caution here. And then the question will be, can Brandon Elvis or the second place car, maybe even the third place car, can they do anything? It's another car having trouble in front of your second place competitor, Brandon Elvis. Wellman got up into the outside wall. The 54 machine had to swerve low again. So we're closing in on 20 laps to go. It'll be 20 this time. So time is running out. Everybody in the top 5 right here, closely aligned with each other. So here's maybe an opening for the 17. Yes, there's Adkins down low underneath the 80 of Chris Smith. What can he do? Is he going to be able to hold the momentum, or will the 80 prevail up top? As we'll see down into turns 3 and 4, Daniel Sweat trying to peek his nose in there as well. It looks like Jonathan Adkins is going to be clear into turns 1 and 2, so move Jonathan Adkins up into the 3rd spot from his 5th place starting position. So Adkins trying to make moves here late in the race. We'll see what kind of pace he has relative to Brandon Elvis in the 54. But up front, Brian Voss, nearly 3 seconds the difference. He's putting on a display here. He's put Dalton Creech another lap down on the 36. And he's about to lap the second place competitor in points, Brian Zimmerman in the 28, who has a race win this season coming back at Rockingham. Voss just doing what he needs to do, opening up that gap even more that last time around. And obviously these guys out back behind him know that it's going to take a caution at this point. Elvis has really just got to hold on to that second place spot, which isn't a bad run for Brandon Elvis. I'm sure he'd rather win, but he had a pretty rough start to his season, like you mentioned, and that win at Slinger really started to turn things around. He was 12th coming into last week. He came in to this week 6th in the standings, and this should be another good booster. As, the caution flag flies. Chris Carroll and I believe Justin Coleman made some contact. And just when we were thinking that was going to be it, they shock us, and we'll see. It's Chris Carroll and Justin Coleman. It looks like maybe going into 3 and 4, they might have made contact. It looks like the 99 might have gotten a little bit tight on the exit, and he came up the track. Alex Harrison, the 13, got tagged. He did a good job saving it. But Chris Carroll, unfortunately, I think he just got tight off the corner and got tight off of the corner. And the 14 tried to swerve underneath, just not enough time right there. The 2 made contact, and we are back under yellow for a 3rd time. So 3 cautions so far here tonight. Coming up on 10 laps to go when they come back around. This is going to be a pretty intense and exciting finish here, folks. As we'll try and see if we can grab a word from our leader right now, Brian Voss. And we'll try and grab a word from our 2nd place, Brandon Elvis, as well. Brian Voss up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Alrighty, well, you've led the entirety of this race so far. It looked like you had a pretty good gap built up, obviously maybe 3 seconds at its peak, but caution here, inside of 10 to go. You're going to have to restart. What can you do to seal the deal here?
Just have some faith in these guys. Don't get used up. I feel like we got some pretty good tire left. It wasn't going extremely too hard there. Stay out of trouble here. Just hope for the best.
Alrighty, well, good luck to you. You got 10 laps. Hopefully you can get another victory.
Thanks, sir.
Alrighty, that was your race leader, Brian Voss. And now we're going to try and grab Brandon Elvis if he's hiding in voice chat anywhere. I don't think he is. He usually does not sit in voice chat. He's one of the few that does not. But it's probably for reasons like this. He doesn't need me distracting him mid-race. Jonathan Adkins in that third spot right here. He's going to have to put up a good fight here because he's obviously got some speed left as well. If he gets a good enough restart, he might be able to get around the 54 and have a shot to track down your race leader, Brian Voss. So I believe the lights will be dropping on the Bad Company Racing pace car like that. And it'll be, once again, Brian Voss, Brandon Elvis, this time coming back to 7 laps to go. So right here, this is the race. If you're Brandon Elvis or Jonathan Adkins, if you let Brian Voss get away, he's going to pull away. We've seen it all of this race so far. So we'll see what the field can do. Pace car is off. And it's in the hands of Brian Voss and Brandon Elvis making their way through turns 3 and 4. Through the Mr. All-Time Gaming restart zone for a final time. And we are back racing at Martinsville down into turn 1. Voss gets a good jump. Here comes Jonathan Adkins trying to make a bid for the second spot. Atkins in the 17 underneath Chris Smith. He's going to have to fight for the third spot now as Elvis was able to get back down in line, and he's going to set his sights on Brian Voss. 6 laps to go at the line. Back behind, looks like Atkins able to get in front of Chris Smith. Daniel Sweat, Zach Murphy battling for the 5th spot. As Zimmerman in the wall out back. Creech and Rennick going to have to swerve down to avoid. Looks like everybody was able to get by. 5 to go at the line. Brian Voss just set the fastest lap time of the race. But Brandon Elvis in the 54 was not too far behind. What can they do? 4 laps to go for the 54, Brandon Elvis, to try and track down your race leader, Brian Voss. What can he do? It's back behind Daniel Sweat. Zach Murphy still battling hard for that 5th spot. Give it to Sweat for now, but Murphy keeps getting these big runs on the top side, and he just keeps pulling back closer to the 07 machine. It looks like the 07 might have, pushed up the track a little bit, secured that spot. So out of turns 3 and 4, the popsicle sticks up in the air. 2 laps to go for your race leader, Brian Voss. He's led from the drop of the green flag. And he leads down the back straightaway by a half a second into turns 3 and 4. Brandon Elvis in the 54 machine trying everything he can here. Will he have anything left? 1 more lap to go, 1 time around for Brian Voss to seal the deal here at Martinsville. He did it last season at the Martinsville Speedway. Got the pole here tonight. He did it last week at South Boston. He's going to do it again here tonight. Brian Voss wins at Martinsville. Elvis going to come home 2nd. Jonathan Adkins 3rd. Chris Smith 4th. Rounding out your top 5 will be Daniel Sweat in the 07. So Brian Voss going to take the Buffalo Wild Wings number 55 machine back to victory lane. Brandon Elvis going to come home in the 2nd spot. Jonathan Adkins doing a good job there late in the run to get a couple positions there and secure himself a top 3 finish. We'll grab a word from our top 3 competitors here in just a moment, folks. But we will return here shortly on True Sim Productions. I'm your host, Winston Deal. Alrighty, folks, we are back here on True Sim Productions, getting ready to wrap things up. Gonna grab a word from our third place finisher, Jonathan Adkins. Gonna see if we can get him up here. Jonathan, got a copy.
I got you.
Alrighty, well, you started tonight in the 5th spot. You lingered around that 5th, 6th spot, battled in and out of the top 5, and at the end of that green flag run, looks like your car just came alive in the top 5, and you were able to make a couple passes there that secured you a spot on the podium. Tell me how your race went.
Yeah, it's really tough to pass here if you gotta really get a really big run off the corner, and if they try to pinch you, it makes it even tougher. So I tried to take my time and not push too early, and there at the end had to make a couple of passes that probably I think I moved one guy up the track just a little bit to get by him, but all in all, it wasn't too dirty. That's what you got to do to pass here, I think, because if the guy on the outside gets momentum, it's hard to make it work. So.
Yeah, passing definitely tough here tonight. We saw it all race long, but as you said, you were able to make your way through and get that 3rd place spot. Coming into tonight, let me fact check myself. You were in the 12th spot in points. This should be a pretty good booster and maybe get you inside the top 10. Next week we go to Myrtle Beach, though. Tell me what your thoughts are going into there.
I've been pretty good there, as long as I can get my kids to bed before we're supposed to race. I feel like I'll be pretty good. That's been my downfall this season. I missed a couple, just couldn't get them to go to sleep. But hopefully we can get them down, and we'll top 3 or 5 there. We'll be happy with that.
Yeah, definitely going to be a fun one. 200 laps, going to be exciting. But before we finish it off, is there anything, or is there anybody that you would like to thank for your 3rd place finish here tonight?
Yeah, Shock Eye Racing Performance, Speed Ranch, Miller Family Trucking, Studio 10 Wraps, and my smoking hot wife.
Alrighty, well, congratulations to you on your 3rd place finish here tonight.
Thank you.
Alrighty, folks. That was Jonathan Adkins, driver of the number 17 machine. He came home in the 3rd spot. Now we'll grab a word from our 2nd place finisher, Brandon Elvis. Brandon Elvis, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Alrighty, well, started in the 2nd spot. Finished there, you were able to hold off Chris Smith and a couple other hard charges there at the end and get a second place spot. But man, Brian just had the class of the field.
Yeah, man. A lot of it's clean air, man. He had it tonight. He took it to us.
Yeah, nonetheless, an exciting race. You guys battled throughout the top 5 for the majority of the run and had pretty exciting, a little bit of contact there, but story for another day. But coming into tonight, you were in the 6th spot in points. Last week, you were in the 12th spot. Another second place spot here, or another second place finish here tonight, gonna be boosting you up in the points. Tell me how you're feeling about that.
Man, if it could have just gave me 6 more this time, we would have been good, huh?
Yeah, you could have kept up the trend.
No,
You're gonna have
man,
to wait
I'm-
then next week.
Yeah, man. We fought a bunch of adversity at the start of the season there, and man, I've been scratching and clawing just trying to get these good finishes, but man, I'd be lying if I said second place was fun.
Yeah, that was my comment I made prior to the end of the race. I said, Brandon, it's a good run for second, but I know he wanted to win, and it sucks getting second to the same guy 2 weeks in a row. But you're making your way towards the front of the field, and obviously the field this season is so competitive, and it's good to be in the top 3.
Yeah, man. We kind of knew coming in this was going to be Voss's race to lose. I kind of stepped on it a little bit in qualifying there, and I probably should have sat on the pole, to be honest with you. I didn't. That was on me. I needed to control the race, and that was the only way I was going to beat him. And he had control of it, and he put it on us.
Yeah, but second obviously still a good run, and I know you got a lot of guys that help you out, and I'll give you an opportunity to thank them before we wrap it up.
All right, man. I'd like to thank my wife, Burial's Performance and Fab, Chestnut Hill Restaurant, Coleman Design, Shock Eye Racing Performance, BH Homes Construction, Gibbs Brothers Construction, and Parker Brothers Winterton. Thanks to you guys for doing the broadcast for us.
Alrighty, well, before we wrap things up, next week we go to Myrtle Beach. I know you're excited about that race, 200 laps. Tell me how you're feeling going into there, knowing you got a second place finish here tonight.
I hope I can just better at one spot, man. I know Brian's going to be on his game there too, so a few people are going to be on their game. Just got to be patient and be smart, and maybe we'll be there at the end.
Alrighty, well, sounds pretty good going into Myrtle Beach. We wish you luck going there, but congratulations on your second place finish here tonight.
Thanks, Winston. Appreciate it.
Yep. Alrighty, folks, that was Brandon Elvis, driver of the number 54 machine, coming home in the second place spot. And now for a word from our winner, Brian Voss. Brian, you got a copy?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Alrighty, well, we talked to you before qualifying, we talked to you after qualifying, sat on the pole, and you said you just had to control the race and keep the tires underneath of it, and that's what you did. You kept the nose clean. We talked to you there before that final restart, and you executed perfectly. Back in victory lane at Martinsville, back in victory lane 2 weeks in a row. You're in the points, or you're leading the points, I should say. Got to be feeling really good right now.
Yeah, man. It's 2 good weeks there for us. Staying out of trouble and also having that track position from the initial get-go, qualifying up front. That seems to be our strong suit, and we've been pretty fortunate here the last few weeks of just maintaining that track position and being there at the end. It's been fortunate.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good run for you this season so far. Next week we go to Myrtle Beach, though. 200 laps there. I talked to Brandon. He's obviously excited about that race going in there. I'm sure you're going to be pretty excited as well. Tell me your thoughts going into that race.
Definitely looking forward to it. One thing that's a little worrisome, got a wife on baby watch here. Due date's the 21st. I'm hoping it's the All-Star week. I'm like, if you could just hold it the best you can. The real life job at Florence, we got a big race this weekend. So far so good. Timing hasn't been off. So hopefully it just goes on for a few more weeks so we don't miss that race at Myrtle Beach. I think it would be a pretty good one. 200 laps there, tire degradations, everything. And once again, with iRacing, track position is going to be key as well.
Yeah, definitely going to be a pretty good race. And I know a lot of people in this league love Myrtle Beach and have a lot of history and experience there. So it's going to be a pretty good show. But tonight, obviously got the victory. Anybody that you would like to thank that helped put you in victory lane once again?
Yeah, it's got to thank my peeps watching, Jay Bird, Teddy Bear. They watch every week and enjoy what you guys do, and we thank you as well. It's always a great job. Going back and watch it's always enjoyable. All-Star Racing League Crooked Line, the merger this year. I think I spoke about it last week. It's just been really nice to have the car count and some really quality guys to race with. It's been a lot of fun. Um, Barry Elvis performance for coming on board, but it's still. I know Barry watches it too, and he gets animated. So I think we all do it. Any cause racing is racing any way you look at it. And then the sponsors: Buffalo Wild Wings, of course, Rain Total Body Fuel, Blue Iron Coastal Region, Butler Roof Company. I would say fueled by Miller Lite, but unfortunately we were out tonight, man. But still gonna get beer money for the crew. Don't worry about that.
Always getting beer money for the crew. Back in victory lane once again, Brian Voss, your winner.
Thanks, guys.
Alrighty. Now going to wrap things up here from the Martinsville Speedway. A great race here tonight. Honestly, put up a lot more green flag laps than I expected. Everybody doing a great job keeping the noses clean. And we had a couple incidents here and there, but that was just to spice things up. And Brian Voss doing a wonderful job, as Brandon Elvis put it, controlling the race. And that pole position really helped him out here tonight. Helped him last week as well at South Boston. So Brian Voss doing good things in the 55. But I think that's going to wrap it up for us here tonight, folks, at the Martinsville Speedway. We will see you guys next week at the Myrtle Beach Speedway. I do apologize. My co-host, Connor Osborne, not able to make it into the booth here tonight, but he will be back, I do believe, next week at Myrtle Beach to make it happen with me. Thank you guys for bearing with me with my little trouble speaking here tonight. It's been a rough couple of days with my cold, but hopefully that's better next week. But nonetheless, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you to Chestnut Hill and Barry Elvis Performance and Fabrication for everything they do with the All-Star Racing League and helping us out here. So other than that, I think I've got everything covered, but thank you guys for watching, and we will see you guys next week. Peace.